Awesome. Great job, guys. Morning. Welcome to New Hope. Today we are starting a new series, a short two-weeker, on God's truth and who God is through the lens of engineering. So hopefully all of you new hopers who knew this was coming up have invited some engineering friends to church to hear how we can, through their lives and what they do and what they live and breathe and how they think, how they're made in God's image, we can see and understand who God is more. I noticed a few engineers here, a few more pocket protectors and people doing this with their glasses than normal, so welcome. Yeah, sorry. Stereotypes. Got to get them out of the way. The opening of the message has another stereotype, and after that, it's all serious about the engineers, because really, where would we be without you? Do you want to start this message by saying or confessing what you've already picked up in the intro, that when I was young and more naive than I am right now, definitely right-brained and studying architecture in university, I held a rather negative stereotype of what engineers were all about. I have two brothers who are engineers as well, so I had lots of practice in terms of abusing them in that regard. But to me, they were overly rational, uber-linear sorts who, during Frosh Week, always managed to take the frame of some old automobile and put it on the top of some university building somewhere, and then write about it in all of their engineering rags. And it was always cool that they could actually get that Volkswagen Bug frame up into the top of the arch at the school I went into, but my question was always, why do it? What a strange thing to actually do. And then they took so much delight in it. And does anybody really care that you would do something just because you could do it? And this week, it hit me that, yeah, probably God does. The God who chose to create everything, not out of necessity, but because he could and chose to do it. I think God might think a little bit that way. Because all of those engineering minds in all of those universities and in all of those companies where they're doing their engineering, those minds are made in the image of an engineering God. How else could everything else in the cosmos come together and, most importantly, to an engineer, still be working? Surely the mind of God is filled with a passion to design to optimal conditions, to come up with the most efficient, innovative, orderly, and safe project. Surely God wants his world to work in the best way possible. Surely God, when faced with a problem, which is what engineers do, they're either creating something new, but it's always in response to a problem, something that could be made better. Surely God seeks to come up with an optimal, most efficient, best solution. And without doubt, God brings the most thorough analysis, maybe not with spreadsheets like a lot of engineers do, but the most thorough thinking and thoughtful analysis to every challenging situation. Deep, deep logical thinking to every opportunity. And surely God has a rational way, a divine method for deeming and redeeming, problem-solving the cosmos. And I think, and I've experienced this week, and last week, looking at an engineer closely, looking in a way mystically through them, we can get a glimpse of the mind of our God. But only a glimpse, because what can a human being really know about a mind capable of what God's mind is capable of? It'd be like a pipe fitter on the most up-to-date SAG-D project in Fort McMurray, one of the big projects there. It'd be like a pipe fitter being to understand what, the project engineer understands about the scope of that project. Really kind of impossible. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, God says. Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. As the rain and the snow come down from heaven and do not return to it without watering the earth and making it bud and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater, so is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. That last phrase resonated with some of the ethos and the character and nature of a whole bunch of engineers that I had met with last week. You could almost hear them coming from an engineer, a project engineer, or a maintenance engineer to the people who were going to do something on a site. So my word goes out from my mouth, will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. Engineering is a discipline. Shouldn't over-deify engineers. Put that aside if you're an engineer. Engineering is a discipline that generates a design or comes up with a solution to a problem, a practical material problem, for others to implement and follow and play out. So as Barb Bronson, our church administrator, said to her husband Rob, who's an engineer in the oil industry in town here, when Rob was talking about God and his thing, and she corrected him at one point and said, Rob, you don't do anything practically, physically. You don't do anything. He does a lot of what he does here and then onto spreadsheets. Engineers conceive of and design, and others implement. God spoke, "Let us make human beings in our image, make them reflecting our nature, so they can be responsible for the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the cattle, and yes, the earth itself, and every animal that moves on the face of the earth." God created human beings, and he created them God-like in his image. Reflecting God's nature, he created them male and female, and God blessed them. Prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, take charge, be responsible for fish in the seas, birds in the air, for every living thing that moves on the face of the earth. Engineers are made in the image of a God who releases others to responsibly prosper, reproduce, fill the earth, and take charge. And they do it in a real hands-on, material way. And we, mere mortals and workers, when we respond to what word they speak, need to trust that they know what they're doing and trust the design or the policy statement or the whatever. We have to trust the engineer and trust the plan. Even though, for the most part, and it's true for all of us, we can't see the beginning from the end of this project that we've been assigned to, your life, in the little part that we see and are capable of understanding, because we don't understand it all, because the engineer's ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are beyond our thoughts. So in a way, an engineer's way of being, in that definition of what being I just described, is somewhat close to godliness.